কি লাগিয়া নিলে হেঠ কর এবে গতি আছে কিছু কার্য তব এই অনুমানে নাহে কেন আনিবে না এই উগ্রস্থানে রজস্তম গুণেরা সবাই আচ্ছন্ন বাসুদেব কথা রুচি নাহে সে প্রসন্ন তবে যদি তব কৃপা হয় অহেতুকি সকালাই সম্ভব হয় তুমি সে কত কি কিভাবে বুঝালে তারা বুঝে সেই রস এটা কৃপা করো প্রভু করি নিজ বশ তোমারা ইচ্ছায় সব হয় মায়া ভাষা তোমারা ইচ্ছায় নাশা মায়ার পারাশা তবাই চাই যদি তাদের উদ্ধার বুঝিবে নিশ্চয় তবে কথা সে তোমার জয় শ্রী কৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য প্রভু নিত্যানন্দ শ্রী অদ্বৈত গদাধর শিবাসাদি গৌর ভক্ত বৃন্দ Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That's the bhajan is much longer than this. It's we just sang a part of it, but the essence of it is that Prabhupada is begging to the Supreme Lord that, my dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here, otherwise why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. But I know your costless mercy can make everything possible. Taba kripa hoy ahaituki. Because you are the most expert mystic, how will they understand the mellows of devotional service? Oh Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy, so that I will be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have become under the control of the illusory energy by your will. And therefore, if you like, by your will, they can also be released from the clutches of illusion. I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. And of course, then he quotes those 5 shlokas from Srimad Bhagavatam. And he concludes by saying that it is up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. I will simply repeat your message, and if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. And then he says, Nacha, Nacha, Prabhu, Nacha, she mate, Kashtir Putli Jota, Nacha, she mate. I'm just like a puppet in your hands. Make me dance, make me dance, make me dance, O Lord, as you like. And then he says, I have no devotion, nor do I have knowledge, Bhakti and Vedanta. But I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhakti Vedanta. And now if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhakti Vedanta. So it's very auspicious that we are assembling here today to commemorate this glorious occasion of Srila Prabhupada departing for the US. In many ways, this is a representation of mercy. In the Pranam Mantra of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it is mentioned, Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute. So it is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's costless mercy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, of course, is Parama Karuna. Nitai Gaurachandra is Parama Karuna. They are manifestations of pure costless mercy, compassion. Atyanta durlabha karibare dan shikaya sharanagati bhakatira pran. They taught us surrender by their own behavior. And out of compassion for the innumerable fallen souls, they inaugurated the Sankirtan movement. Sankirtanaika Pitarau. And that Gaura Karuna Shakti manifested as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the ray of Vishnu. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur instructed our own Srila Prabhupada to preach in the Western world in a language that is otherwise called Mlecha Bhasha. Very ironical that I am also speaking the same language. But it's become glorious because Srila Prabhupada wrote in English, just like Sukadeva Goswami spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam, and just like the parrot touching the fruit, it became sweeter. English language, which is otherwise capable of complete nonsense, was made so transcendental by Srila Prabhupada by using them for his Bhaktivedanta purpose. And this is his costless mercy, that he could have chosen to be in the comfortable environs of Vrindavan Dham. Nobody would have asked him anything. It was easy for him to get good boarding, lodging, other facilities. But he went beyond that to fulfill the desire of his spiritual master. So I want to take a little bit of excerpts from Srila Satsvarup Das Goswami Maharaj's book Prabhupada Leelamrita. These occur in chapters 11 and 12. Just one second. Srila Prabhupada saying that he had now the 3 volumes of first canto in his hand. I think they had about 230 copies printed finally and kept in his trunks. Srila Prabhupada said that I planned that I must go to America. Generally they go to London, but I didn't want to go to London. I was simply thinking how to go to New York. I was scheming whether I shall go this way through Tokyo, Japan, or that way, which way is cheaper. So he was targeting New York always. Just like in childhood he was targeting Jagannath Puri. He constantly looked for a train. But now he is looking to go abroad. Then he met Mr. Agarwal, businessman from Mathura. And very casually he mentioned in passing that he wanted to go abroad. So he had known him only for a few minutes. There are some such pious souls in India, definitely. And probably abroad also. So he volunteered to try to get him a sponsor to America. And but then the point is that historically, many times he had met several sadhus, and then he would promise that I will send you to America. And his son Gopal, which is also very interesting, his name is also Gopal, he was used to this. So what he would do is he would get a salary statement from his company, a bank statement which would show his balance. Then he would get all other necessary papers, and then he would send a sponsorship form to whoever was concerned. But nobody ever came. It has happened in the past also. Many sadhus he had given. So when his father told him that you should do this, Prabhupada is saying, I did not say anything seriously to Mr. Agarwal, but perhaps he took it very seriously. So we can just see, even he is not a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He took Prabhupada's word seriously for whatever reason. And look what happened. Now what will happen if we take Prabhupada's word seriously? It's just extraordinary. So Prabhupada casually asked him, well, why don't you ask your son Gopal to sponsor so that I can go there? I want to preach there, Prabhupada saying. And then otherwise he could never have dreamt of going to the West in that sense. Of course, then Gopal Agarwal sent him a sponsorship form. Then he took the help of the State Bank of India and others to finally get himself a P form. He went to Sumati Morarji and her secretary, Mr. Chokshi. They helped him. He stayed initially in the Scindia colony itself. And she would not agree that he should go because she says, Swamiji, you are so old, you are taking the responsibility. Do you think it's all right? No, it's all right. Prabhupada said like this. He raised his hand as if to assure her. But do you know what my secretaries think? Swamiji is going to die there. I remember His Grace Mahamantra Prabhu narrating this incident once, and it was extraordinary what Prabhupada did. So then she said, all right, you get your P form. I'll make an arrangement to send you by our ship. And then the P form also took some time because those days going abroad was not easy. Leave alone a sadhu going abroad. The sadhus would not allow somebody to cross the seas. The government wouldn't allow to cross the seas even if the sadhus permit. So it was very difficult. Still, he had a small unfurnished apartment with only his trunk and typewriter. And he was staying there. He used to do some programs also. And then he would go out every day to get his visa and P form. And then sometimes Prabhupada would externally look a little morose. So then the neighbors used to think, he's so dejected. But then immediately he would feel rejuvenated and start writing. Because he was very clear about his... So then Mrs. Nagarajan, who was his neighbor, she used to say, Swamiji, one day you will achieve your target. He would say, time is still not right. time is still not right. They are all ajnanis. They don't understand, but I still must carry on. So, I've quoted this in the past, probably in this class also, that there was an Olympic athlete who won the gold medal, and she was asked, what is the secret of your success? She said, I practiced when my mind agreed, and I practiced when my mind didn't agree. So, by this sadhana bhakti is like that, Krishna consciousness is also like that, and Srila Prabhupada setting the example himself. He would have a page printed entitled My Mission. He would show it to all influential people to get it sponsored. So sometimes you feel like very, very sad when you see how Prabhupada, the amount of difficulty he went through. Then of course he also read Srimad Bhagavatam for Sumati Morarji at her home and all that. That kept on happening. And then finally the P form was also passed. There had to be a chief official of foreign exchange who had to be cleared, because those days foreign exchange was not so easily available. And after all that, of course, he only had $6 to take with him. But still, all these clearances were done. His bank balances had to be checked and all that. So then, Mr. Chokshi printed for him 500 pamphlets, 500 copies of a pamphlet. This is about Shikshashtakam and an advertisement for Srimad Bhagavatam. So he carried it. So Mr. Chokshi is saying, I asked him, why couldn't you go earlier? Why do you want to go now to the States at this age? He's asking Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada replied, I will be able to do something good, I am sure. So it's not like Prabhupada didn't know what he was doing. He was very clear. He had complete faith in Krishna. Why do you want to go to the States? Why don't you start something in Bombay or Delhi or Vrindavan? He used to tease him. You are interested in seeing the States, therefore you want to go. America, Devas. So all Swamijis want to go to the States, and you want to enjoy there. He said, what I have got to see, I have finished my life. Prabhupada was saying. So he was very clear. Sometimes you would get angry also. What is this nonsense? So then it went on, and finally everything got settled. Then he went to Kolkata to board the ship. He still had some 10 to 12 days. So he stayed with of all the people in among hundreds of people. Satswarup Maharaj says he chose to stay with Shishir Bhattacharya. There was one Kirtan singer. So he stayed with him, who arranged programs for him also. They could not get news articles printed in top newspapers. So finally some local newspaper carried these details. And despite his helping him, Prabhupada was, this particular newspaper is called Dainik Basumati. Now, I don't know if it is still existing. I don't think it is existing. But I think whoever ran the paper has attained Sukriti, because he carried his article about Prabhupada with one small photograph. He didn't have any photo. So they tried to make additional copies for newspapers. They had only one. Finally, they carried this item. So, although Shishir was helping him, Prabhupada was very clear. Whenever he would get into discussions about various things. And he was a typical intellectual, Buddhijeevi, Bhadralok from Bengal, gentlemen who discuss philosophy and higher things. So he would argue many things with Prabhupada. And Prabhupada would get furious with him. He would say, I think. What is this I think? You have to follow the Shastra. So he was very heavy about that. He was not worried about the fact that he is dependent on this person externally. He would still speak the truth. So that is very important. As sadhus, we must speak the truth. But of course, as Prabhupada could speak the truth in ways that we cannot. So when we speak the truth, we must try to Satyam Bruyat, Priyam Bruyat, Abruyada Satyam Apriyam. That's very important. And then it was August 13, just a few days before Janmashtami. And the day before his appearance day on Nandotsav also, which was the day next to that. That would be his 69th birthday. So he had always been in Vrindavan in recent years for Janmashtami. So no Vrindavan resident would actually leave that place. They would like to die in peace at their old age. But beyond all that was the desire of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And his desire was non-different from that of Lord Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had predicted that the chanting of Hare Krishna would be known in every town and village of the world. So then he took a taxi down to the Kolkata port. His son Vrindavan was there. A few sons and a few friends had also come there. So he wrote, today at 9 a.m. embarked on Jaladuta, MV Jaladuta it was called. Came with me Bhagavati, the Dwarvan of Sindhya Sansir, Mr. Mr. Ali and Vrindavan. He was carrying a Bengali copy of Caitanya-caritāmṛta, which he intended to read during the crossing. Somehow he would be able to cook on board, or if not, he would starve. Whatever Krishna desired. He checked his essentials, please remember. Passenger ticket, passport, visa, P-form, sponsor's address. All these things he had. And he was just carrying copies of Bhagavatam, which gave him confidence. The Bhagavatam got loaded from Kochi port. The devotees of Iskcon Kochi had celebrated that function also. In the last few years, we've been celebrating 50 years of everything. So they celebrated also the loading of the books. That's the area from where it ported. And they joined him in Kolkata and then he left from there. Or rather, he joined it in Kochi and then went ahead. So, for thousands of years, Krishna Bhakti had been known only in India, not outside. Except in twisted, faithless reports by foreigners. And the only Swamis to have reached America had been non-devotees, Mayavadi impersonalists. But now, Krishna was sending Bhaktivedanta Swami as his emissary. Srila Prabhupada ki. So, today's rest of the discussion will be from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 2nd chapter, 23rd verse. This is also about compassion. Prabhupada went to the US out of the compassionate instructions of Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj about the Parama Karuna of Gaur Nitai or Dayal Nitai Chaitanya Bola Nache Ramarman. Dayal Chaitanya Nitai Parama Karuna Pahudvijana Nitai Gaur Chandra. Their mercy was provided as instruction by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he therefore preached the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauravani. And therefore, this is the verse. I want to request all the seniors that today we will not repeat the verse so that we can go ahead. We will not repeat the verse, we'll just chant it and then go ahead. It's a very famous verse. I request all of you to memorize this verse if you already don't have memorized. Already have not memorized. It's a very famous verse. Shri Radhapad Sadi Gauranitai Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki. Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kotam Jigham Sayapaya Yatapyasadhvi Lebhe Gatim Dhatruchitam Tatonyam Kam Vadayalum Sharanam Vrajema Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kotam Jigham Sayapaya Yadapyasadhvi Lebhe Gatim Dhatruchitam Tatonyam Kam Vadayalum Sharanam Vrajema Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kotam Jigham Sayapaya Yadapyasadhvi Lebhe Gatim Dhatruchitam Tatonyam Kam Vadayalum Sharanam Vrajema. Thank you. Aho, alas, Baki, the she demon, Putna, Yam, whom, Sthana, of her breast, Kala, deadly, Kutam, poison, Jigamsaya, out of envy, Apayayat, nourished, Api, although, Asadhvi, unfaithful, Lebhe, achieved, Gatim, destination, Dhatri Uchitam, just suitable for the nurse. Tataha, beyond whom, anyam, other, kam, who else, va, certainly, dayalum, merciful, sharanam, shelter, vrajema, shall I take. Word by word synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and the preeminent Shiksha Guru for all. Srila Prabhupada ki. Can you repeat after me? Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than He, who granted the position of mother to a she-demon, Putna, although she was unfaithful, and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. Purport. Kindly listen to these transcendental ecstasies of His Divine Grace. Here is an example of the extreme mercy of the Lord. Even to His enemy, it is said that a noble man accepts the good qualities of a person of doubtful character, just as one accepts nectar from a stalk of poison. In his babyhood, he was administered deadly poison by Putna, a she-demon who tried to kill the wonderful baby. And because she was a demon, it was impossible for her to know that the Supreme Lord, even though playing the part of a baby, was no one less than the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. His value as the Supreme Lord did not diminish upon his becoming a baby to please his devotee Yashoda. The Lord may assume the form of a baby or a shape other than that of a human being, but it doesn't make the slightest difference. He is always the same Supreme. A living creature, however powerful he may become by dint of severe penance, can never become equal to the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna accepted the motherhood of Putna because she pretended to be an affectionate mother, allowing Krishna to suck her breast. The Lord accepts the least qualification of the living entity and awards him the highest reward. That is the standard of His character. Therefore, who but the Lord can be the ultimate shelter? Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Today we are starting the sequence of lectures on Krishna's pastimes in the lead up to the Janmashtami festival, which is falling on the 12th of August this year. And it's ironical that, like we discussed, Srila Prabhupada mercifully went to the US today as Pratiti. He went because of the merciful instruction from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj to give the merciful message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ami bina bandhu ar kya che tomar. He is the greatest friend. And he gave Krishna's mercy. And it is that Krishna's mercy that we are talking about today. Hari he dayala mora jai radhanath is most merciful. So Uddhava is being inquired by Vidura. He's being inquired from by Vidura about Krishna's news. This is that particular context. It comes in the 3rd canto. And Uddhava is saying that in many ways Uddhava is assuming that what if I am not able to be present when the Lord leaves this body? But he is anyway glorifying the Supreme Lord. And it's pretty interesting that here is a little child who's sucking Kalakuta Visha. Kalakuta, Kuta is Visha, is poison. He's sucking that as a little child. How many days old was he then? 6. Then he didn't get killed. But at the age of nearly 100 plus, one little hunter sends some weird arrow tipped with poison and he dies. How is it possible? By Kaliya's poison, birds that are flying above would fall down dead. Little Krishna would dance on his hoods. Then he wouldn't die. But a hunter sends a little bit of arrow, he will die. So just see how, and that's why Srila Prabhupada's disciples and Srila Prabhupada mentioned variously that to bewilder the impersonalists and the atheists, the Supreme Lord left behind his physical form. At the same time, he passed through various higher planets as he was going up just to pay his visit and blessings. So very clear. The Supreme Lord going back to his own abode. But here, of course, we're talking about how Ambika and Kilimbika are the nurses of Krishna. They would serve him with so much love. I think Mother Narayani, Srivas Thakur's niece, she is Kilimbika in Gaur Leela. And they would nurse him wonderfully. Krishna gave that same position to Putna, who masqueraded as a nurse. She was not a nurse. She just masqueraded. She wore the dress of a woman who was wanting to feed him. So he promoted her to that position. Lebhe gatim das datruchitam tatonyam. She's extraordinary. That position, worthy of a nurse, was provided by him. How merciful is he? Now, Putna is described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as indication of a bogus guru or a pseudo guru. Kecharis are witches. Prabhupada talks about them. So she was a witch. She specialized in killing children. That was her core competence. Like everybody, somebody majors in management, somebody majors in finance, in MBA. She was majoring in killing children. So grotesque, so abominable, so cruel. It's the most cruel thing that anybody can do. Such a cruel person she was. On top of that, she disguises herself. At least if she goes and kills somebody directly, it's ghastly. But she disguises herself as a mother, which is the topmost selfless position. And when she walked into Gokula, everybody was bewildered. They thought she must be the goddess of fortune coming to pay respects to her husband Krishna. Prabhupada uses the word the innocent cowherd women of Vraja. They did not think who it was. They were all just gaping at her. So she casually walked into the house and then decided to feed little Krishna. So Acharyas talk about various situations when she comes. When she came, she immediately could realize that this child is just lying down like this, sleeping. But he is not an ordinary person. He is a great person. He has done so much. Why Kamsa is so scared of him? So she knows that this person is capable of controlling the whole universe. But when Putana came to him, little Krishna showed the nature of a small baby and closed his eyes, as if to avoid the face of Putana. Now, Srila Prabhupada mentions in Krishna book, as is based on the 10th canto, that the closing of the eyes is interpreted and studied in different ways by the devotees. Some people say that he closed his eyes because he did not like to see the face of Putana, who had killed so many children. She's such a cruel person that God wouldn't like to see her. What to speak about in this form? One sec. Naveen, can you just take this call? This caller, I can say I'm on the gas or something. And she can come if she wants. So, others say that something extraordinary was being dictated to her, meaning she was thinking already that he is a supreme person. He's a very powerful personality, most powerful personality in the universe. So Krishna wanted to assure her that no, I'm just another child. So this is another reason that Krishna closed his eyes. The other reason was that she would not be frightened. Going one step further in this, to assure her, to ensure that she would not be frightened. Yet others interpret it in this way. Krishna appeared to kill the demons and give protection to the devotees. Paritranaya sadhunam vinachaya cha dushkritam. So the first thing was to protect the devotees and to destroy the demons. And ironically, the first demon, in one sense, he had to kill was a woman. So he could not help but close his eyes because it's forbidden as per Shastra to kill a woman. Another interpretation, and this is very interesting, is that Krishna simply closed his eyes because he thought Putna was his nurse. So then she started trying to breastfeed him. And Prabhupada uses the word, angry Krishna not only sucked her breast, but he sucked out the very life air. And it's not like, very interesting. She didn't cry that you rascal, she said, child, oh child, leave me. That's what she was saying. It's very strange. I just thought of it, that she could have said something else. So, and then Krishna sucked out her life air as a little child. So she fell crashing down, 12 miles long. So her body was like, her eye sockets were like big caves, and it's all described. Her body was like a huge mountain. Her hair was like, huge trees. And when they burnt her body later, it smelt of aguru. Very, very well scented, fragrant. Why? Krishna touched her. So just really speaking, another thought that comes to my mind is, we chant the holy name every day. The holy name is not different from Krishna. And it touches our tongue every day, at least mantra akshara does. But despite that, in many of us, there is no fragrance of anartha nivritti. There is a stench of anarthas. So, Putna's position is exalted. She was Ratnavali, the daughter of Mahabali, Bali Maharaj, in the previous birth. And when Vaman Dev came in the Yajnashala of Bali Maharaj and asked for 3 steps of land, she was completely enamored by the little child. She was wondering how wonderful it would be if I had this child as my own. So naturally there was some attraction. And then, at the same time, later on when Vaman Dev made Bali Maharaj bereft of everything that he had, all his possessions, he was completely made pauper, penniless. By Atma Nivedanam, he surrendered whatever little he had, which was his ego, which is his head, he gave. So everything was lost. On top of that, he was bound by Varuna Pasha. So then, as a daughter, and especially a demoniac daughter, she would naturally feel, I want to kill this person. This child, he has to be killed. So, in the next birth, she inherited both these characteristics. She had love for the Lord in an indirect way. And Srila Prabhupada also compares the impersonalists to these. Mayavadi, Krishna Aparadhi. They are bogus people. In Science of Self-Realization, Srila Prabhupada says, there is no such thing as a bogus guru. If he is bogus, he cannot be guru. But she is a pseudo-guru. And it makes us introspect whether we are duplicitous. Are we meeting our initiation vows properly? Are we following what the spiritual master has told us? Are we following what the spiritual master's representatives are telling us? Are we acting in cooperation, which is what Srila Prabhupada wanted? Are we getting organized? Are we doing the needful? Whatever Prabhupada said, are we really working at it? So, it's important for us to see how much of a Putna we are. It's like a Putna meter we should put on our daily sadhana chart or whatever. Along with the sadhana chart, there should be a small Putna chart, which says, how much have I... In fact, the sadhana chart for many people contains how we are handling our ananthas. During the day, was I too lusty, was I too angry? Some people have their sadhana chart. But of course, it is all at least personal introspection. And this personal introspection should be cross-checked with Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Otherwise, some days you will feel that I was not lusty at all. And you might have been extremely lusty, we may not know. So it's good to check. So this is very important. And by taking the shelter of Vaishnavas and Guru's instructions, we can overcome this inimicality in the heart, just like Putna had. What is that book? It's called Sri Krishna Samhita. That's a book where Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about it. So it's a very wonderful book. In fact, I think many people across the world are now conducting these seminars on demons of Vrindavan Leela. Those of you who want to have those sequence of seminars should start doing it. It's very nice. In my daily online classes now I'm planning to start also next 1 week. So this is Aho Bhakiyam, which is very special. But please remember that in the very previous verse, it is mentioned that something very interesting. Yeah. The Asuras who fought against the Lord face to face got salvation due to their being killed by the Lord. This salvation of the demons is not due to their being devotees of the Lord. It is because of the Lord's causeless mercy. Anyone who is slightly in touch with the Lord, somehow or the other, yena tena prakarena mana Krishna niveshet. Anybody who comes in touch is greatly benefited, even to the point of salvation, due to the excellence of the Lord. He is so kind that He awards salvation even to His enemies, because they come into contact with Him and are indirectly absorbed in Him by their inimical thoughts. Actually, the demons can never be equal to the pure devotees. But Uddhava was thinking in that way because of his feelings of separation. Because he was thinking that in the last stage of his life, he may not be able to see Krishna. As the demons could see, but he was not sure whether he will be able to see. So, the fact is that the devotees who are always engaged in bhakti, they are rewarded many hundreds of thousands of times, Prabhupada says in the purport, more than the demons, by being elevated to the spiritual planets, where they remain with the Lord in eternal blissful existence. The demons and impersonalists, here is where Prabhupada talks about, they get even Sayujya Mukti. But, which is nothing, it's like floating in space like a planet, Prabhupada is saying. The pleasure of the living entities on the planets is greater than that of those who have no body and therefore merge with the molecules of the sun's rays. The impersonalists get that, or the Paramatma realization, people also sometimes. Prabhupada talks about that. We do not realize the personal form. But the impersonalists therefore are no more favored than the enemies of the Lord. Rather, they are both on the same level of spiritual salvation. In fact, Prabhupada talks in the 6th chapter of Dhyana Yoga, where he says the Brahma yogis and the Paramatma, those who practice Brahma and Paramatma meditation, they are Krishna conscious. He uses 3 phrases in the same shloka. Their Krishna conscious is partial, their Krishna conscious is indirect, and their Krishna consciousness is imperfect. These 3 things he uses for people who are impersonalists. And so if they are rewarded this great solution, which is salvation, here it's about somebody like Putna. Just imagine what could happen to devotees who take shelter of a bona fide movement and a bona fide guru. So we have to take shelter of this real guru, not a bogus guru like Putna, a real guru like Srila Prabhupada and his followers. He went abroad out of daya. Kamva dayalum sharanam vrajema. Just like Uddhava is saying, whose shelter should I take other than this merciful person? We should also question ourselves. Whose shelter should we take except this glorious spiritual master? And as Gaudiyas, whenever we study Bhagavatam, we should study Bhagavatam with a Gaudiya conception. So when Mukunda took Gadadhar Pandit to Pundarik Vidyanidhi, this is mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat, he saw that Pundarik Vidyanidhi was seated in a very opulent manner. He had 6-7 spittoons made of silver and everything there. There was opulent betel nut kept here. He was spitting. There were 2 men constantly fanning him all the time. There was lots of hair, oil on his hair. I mean, you can say a lot of hair and then oil on his hair. So, he was literally enjoying. It looked like. So then Gadadhar Pandit was having he was in 2 minds. He was a little doubtful. So understanding Gadadhara's heart, Mukunda did something to reveal the truth about Pundarik Vidyanidhi. By Lord Krishna's mercy, nothing remained unknown to Gadadhar. He is actually Srimati Radharani's expansion. Lord Krishna does after all control Maya. With a sweet voice, Mukunda then sang a verse glorifying devotional service. He sang, Rakashi Putana Shishu Kaite Nirdaya Ishware Badite Kela Kalakotalaya. So she went to kill, like other small children, she went to kill Krishna. Tahare o matripada dilena Ishware, na bhajeya bodha jiba, hena dayalere. Still Krishna gave the position of a nurse to her. Only an ignorant fool will not worship Lord Krishna, he is saying. Mukunda is going one step further. And therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam, this particular verse is mentioned. Aho Bhakiyam Sanakalakodam. He chanted this verse. He also chanted Putna Loka Balagni Rakshasi Rudirasana Jigamchaya Yapi Haraye Stanam Datvapa Sadgatim. So it is also described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:6-35. Of course, Mukunda didn't chant this. Putana was always hankering for the blood of small children. And with this desire she came to kill Krishna. So when this particular shloka, Aho Bhakiyam, was narrated, Pundarik Vidyanidhi started exhibiting ecstatic symptoms. He fell off from his high seat. He started kicking and flailing. All his various belongings, there were one spittoon was going this way, another was going this way. Some 10 people tried to stop him, and he was still kicking them and flailing. He was crying and he was sweating. He wept in agony. He has descended. I alone am cheated, he said. He has descended. I alone am cheated. And then he fell violently. People thought his bones will break. He violently trembled in ecstatic love. They tried to protect him, protect his property. They tried to protect him. They could not. So then they tried to protect his property. Then he swooned and fell unconscious. He was in an ocean of bliss. He fell unconscious. Seeing this, of course, Gadadhar Pandit lamented, understood his great position, and later on received initiation from him. Of course, this is Vrishabhanu and Varshabhanavi. So naturally, there will be a connection between them. And this comes in Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Khanda, chapter 7. Meeting of Pundarika and Gadadhar. These are verses 47 to 121. So, for us, the simple understanding is that we are fortunate that we are in this movement. Srila Prabhupada said, our philosophy is the highest. Greater than the philosophy is the practice of the philosophy. Our philosophy of Krishna consciousness is the topmost. Practice of philosophy has to be highest. We should not be like Putana, bogus gurus. Our practice of philosophy has to be highest. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj mentions that the qualification of a spiritual master is that he has control over his mind and senses, and he also has exemplary behavior. He sets an ideal behavioral standard. Such a person can be spiritual master. That in the Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, that verse talks about it, Rupa Goswami's verse. So this is the symbol of a bona fide guru. And we are fortunate that we are in a bona fide movement with a bona fide guru. And I want to repeat something that one of my mentors, His Grace Madan Mohan Prabhu from Russia, explained long back. And I keep quoting this, probably the 10th time I'm quoting this, in this class itself 4 or 5 times. He said that Srila Prabhupada is SP, Iskcon is I. If you remove S, P and I from spiritual, it is only ritual. If we are not connected to a bona fide movement, we are not connected to a bona fide guru, if we are connected to a bogus movement and a bogus guru, then it is all ritual. It is not ritual. So I found that very powerful. And that is why we are so fortunate. Because one of the greatest good fortunes that when good fortune arises, this is a book written. Who wrote this book? What is it about? It's about a bona fide spiritual master. He's also written a book called Krishna Lingita Vigraha. The bona fide spiritual master. When we get in touch with the bona fide spiritual master, it is really Krishna waking up. Oh, okay, now it's time. Now it's time. It's almost like that. We are giving Krishna the reassurance that we are decided. We are choosing Krishna. So now that we are in this bona fide movement, we should take inspiration from this particular verse. How merciful is our Lord, and how mercifully He descended at Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the 6 Goswamis, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, and our own spiritual masters, that they are spreading this mercy of Krishna across the world. We have to be introspecting constantly. How can I make myself worthy of this movement? How can I belong here? Like His Grace Burijan Prabhu says, I have said this also recently, that we should look for what is our space in the Iskcon universe. What are we giving back? Dayaya sarva bhuteshu santushtayena kenava. It's a very famous verse. Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj quotes this shloka all the time. Tushyat ashu janardana. Krishna is pleased when we are merciful to sarva bhuteshu. We have received daya from Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada and our gurus. Our job is to give back that daya to rest of them. So jiver daya we have to exhibit. Hare Krishna. So we can have one question and then some Vaishnavas can speak. Yes, please, thank you. Mic for Prabhuji. It was Prabhuji who decided on this verse last night. He certainly inspired that he should speak on this verse.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for a deep insight
Your servant.
into the Leela pastimes of
Your servant.
Krishna killing Putna, and also Prabhupada's departure to US. Today Prabhupada departed.
Yes.
So that one incident was about to go from Calcutta. Before going from Calcutta, Prabhupada went to Shantipur. शांतिपुर हम लोग गए थे, वहाँ पे जो महंत थे पहले वाले, तो उस समय उन्होंने बताया था परिक्रमा के दौरान कि प्रभुपाद जी यहाँ पे आए थे अमेरिका जाने से पहले, और प्रभुपाद बहुत रोए थे, एंड ही वाज रोलिंग ऑन द ग्राउंड, ज़मीन पे लौट रहे थे नवदीप के रज में, और प्रभुपाद प्रार्थना कर रहे थे अद्वैत आचार्य से कि वो अपने गुरु महाराज की आज्ञा का पालन कर पाए। उनको लगा कि पता नहीं कैसे होगा ये, उनको अकेले जाना पड़ रहा है अमेरिका, और वही मालवाहक जहाज में हार्ट पेशेंट है, तो कैसे हो पाएगा। सो प्रभुपाद वाज क्राइंग एंड ही वाज रोलिंग ऑन द ग्राउंड। वहाँ पर शांतिपुर में रज में प्रभुपाद जी लौट रहे थे ऐसे, और प्रभुपाद जी रो रहे थे। तो ये अमेरिका जाने से पहले, प्रभुपाद कलकत्ता से जाने से पहले तो शांतिपुर भी होके वहाँ से गए।
Thank you. I knew I had forgotten something important. Thank you. Also, he took permission from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Samadhi. He went there. This is also mentioned. We can take one question and then senior Vaishnavas can speak. Who has a question? Prabhuji, please.
हरे कृष्ण। बहुत ही सुंदर ये जो श्लोक है आज का, इसमें दो श्लोक भागवतम का, ओहो बकीयम कालकूटम स्तनम कालकूटम का है, और बरहापीठम नटवर बपू। ये दो श्लोक में, एक में तो भगवान का सुंदरता का है, भगवान कितना सुंदर है, और ये दूसरा जो श्लोक भी आज का है, इसमें भगवान कितने मर्सीफुल हैं। ये दो श्लोक सुन करके जो भगवान वेद व्यास के जो शिष्य थे, सुना है, सुखदेव गोस्वामी ब्रह्म ज्ञानी से भक्त बन गए, ब्रह्मवादी से ईश्वरवादी बन गए। तो ये बहुत प्रमाणिक श्लोक है इस चीज के लिए, दो चीज के लिए। एक में भगवान का मर्सीफुल, एक भगवान का सुंदरता। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you. That is why we have to have, we ask seniors to speak because of this. These were points were there somewhere long back in the memory. I just forgot completely. Vaishnavas are helping. Prabhuji can speak and then you can speak because you're already.
हरे कृष्णा, धन्यवाद। तो आज का जो दिन है कि प्रभुपाद गए अमेरिका, उन्होंने प्रस्थान किया आज के दिन, तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने भविष्यवाणी की थी कि मैं अपने सेनापति को भेजूंगा, जो भारत छोड़ करके जाएंगे मृच्छ देश में, तो मैं अपने सेनापति को भेजूंगा। तो सेनापति का मतलब क्या होता है? जो युद्ध के लिए जाता है, अपनी सेना तैयार करेगा, और उसके पास कुछ हथियार भी होने चाहिए। तो हथियार भी दो प्रकार के होते हैं, एक तो शस्त्र होता है, दूसरा अस्त्र होता है। तो जो शस्त्र होता है वो हाथ में लेकर के ही प्रहार किया जाता है ना, और जो अस्त्र होता है वो हाथ से छोड़ा जाता है तो दूर दूर तक जाता है, तो वो अस्त्र कहलाता है। तो जो अस्त्र होता है वो कुछ अस्त्र होते हैं दिव्य अस्त्र, जैसे ब्रह्मास्त्र है ना। तो ये अस्त्र जो है क्या होता है कि संकल्प किया जाता है उस अस्त्र को छोड़ने के पहले कि किसको ये जो है मारेगा, तो फिर वो जो छोड़ दिया जाता है तो वो खुद ही जाता है, फिर उसमें निशाने की जरूरत नहीं होती कि निशाना बनाना है। वो जहां भी जाएगा उसी को मारेगा, है ना। अश्वत्थामा ने जैसे संकल्प किया कि पांडवों के पूरे वंश का विनाश हो, है ना, तो उसने ब्रह्मास्त्र छोड़ दिया। अर्जुन ने ब्रह्मास्त्र छोड़ा कि पांडवों के वंश की रक्षा हो, तो दोनों ब्रह्मास्त्र टकरा गए और बहुत प्रलय जैसा हो गया। इसके बाद फिर अश्वत्थामा ने कहा ठीक है मैं इतना कर सकता हूं कि पांडवों के वंश का बीज नष्ट हो जाए। तो परीक्षित जो गर्भ के अंदर उसी को मारेगा और माता को कुछ नहीं करेगा, गर्भ के अंदर बालक को मारेगा। तो अस्त्र जो है ऐसे होते हैं, मतलब बड़े मतलब बारीक अस्त्र हैं। वही है ब्रह्मास्त्र है। और ये जो है क्या है, दूर दूर तक जाता है ना। और प्रभुपाद जो है संकल्प किया कि ये जो श्रीमद् भागवत अस्त्र है तो ये जो है पूरी दुनिया में कृष्ण भावनामृत फैलाए। तो ये अस्त्र जो है मतलब क्या, तो जो छपाई करते हैं ना, छपाई करते हैं तो एक प्रकार से वो होता है कि भाई आपने अस्त्र को छोड़ा है। तो छपाई करने का मतलब अस्त्र को छोड़ना और संकल्प करना कि अस्त्र कहाँ कहाँ जाएगा और पूरी दुनिया को जो है ये कृष्ण भावना भावित करेगा। तो आसुरी जो भाव है, जो आसुरी प्रवृत्तियां हैं उसको नष्ट करेगा। तो ये ब्रह्मास्त्र है। तो प्रभुपाद के पास जब तक ये नहीं थे, अस्त्र नहीं थे, तो प्रभुपाद जो है तैयारी करते रहे, तैयारी करेगा। क्योंकि कोई सेनापति जाए तो बिना अस्त्र के कैसे जाएगा, बिना हथियार के कैसे जाएगा। तो जब उन्होंने 200 सेट तैयार कर लिए, 3-3 खंडों के, पहले स्कंद के 3 खंड थे, तो 200 सेट तैयार कर लिए। तो वो जो है मतलब अपने अस्त्रों का जो है मतलब वो है भंडार है, अस्त्रों का भंडार लेकर के जो है प्रभुपाद जब गए। तो ऐसे बिना अस्त्र के सेनापति कैसे जाएगा। कोई सैनिक जो है बिना अस्त्र के, बिना हथियार के अगर आए तो उसका कोई अर्थ नहीं होता है। तो इसलिए प्रभुपाद ने अपने अस्त्र जो है मतलब तैयार किए। और आज के दिन जो है प्रभुपाद गए और श्रीमद् भागवत का जो है ये बाण, जैसे वो बाण होता है ब्रह्मास्त्र बाण होता है, ये वाणी है। तो प्रभुपाद ने वाणी मतलब छोड़ी और वो वाणी जो है दूर दूर तक गई। जैसे बाण अस्त्र जो है बाण के रूप में जाता है, दूर दूर तक जाता है। तो प्रभुपाद की वाणी है वो जो है दूर दूर तक गई, श्रीमद् भागवत के रूप में है। और वो जो अस्त्र की बहुत आवश्यकता है, वाणी की बहुत आवश्यकता है। और वो पुस्तकों के रूप में जो वाणी है वो दूर दूर तक जाती है ना। तो आप जो है अगर किसी को प्रचार करते हैं तो एक प्रकार से हथियार है, आपके हाथ में शस्त्र है। तो जो मिला उसी को आपने भक्त बनाया। तो बहुत कम इस तरह काम होगा। आप किसी को प्रचार करते हैं तो आपके शस्त्र से आप मतलब तलवार है आपकी, तो तलवार से आपने उसका जो है मतलब उसके आसुरी भाव को नष्ट किया। तो वो एक व्यक्ति को जो है केवल भक्त बनाएगा। लेकिन अस्त्र होता है तो दूर दूर तक जाता है और कितने लोगों को जो है कितने लोगों का विनाश करता है। तो पुस्तकें जो है वो अस्त्र हैं। श्रीमद् भागवत, भगवद गीता ये ब्रह्मास्त्र हैं। ये तो जो है जब देते हैं तो एक से दूसरे के, दूसरे से तीसरे के हाथ कहाँ कहाँ तक जाते हैं, पूरा जो है दुनिया में फैलती है। तो यही अस्त्र है। तो प्रभुपाद ने मतलब इसी अस्त्र का प्रयोग किया और आप लोगों को भी दे गए हैं। आप लोग भी इसी अस्त्र का प्रयोग करिए और प्रभुपाद के सैनिक बनिए। हरे कृष्णा।
I had a Hindi slogan after listening to what Prabhuji said. ये वाणी है लेकिन बाण ही है. So thank you very much to all the senior Vaishnavas for your realizations, because you really added the icing on the cake. I want to conclude with Paleshwar Prabhu's question, because he had raised his hand. If you want, those of you who want to leave for prasadam, please feel free to leave for the prasadam. You can ask the question, and those who want to stay back can stay back. How did Putna become Putna? Putna is, she had a curse. Originally, she had this inimicality towards, although Bali Maharaj was delivered, and he is of course eternal, Bali Maharaj is a Chiranjeevi, although he was delivered, she had in her heart an inimicality towards Krishna, as Ratnavali. And there were 3 brothers, two brothers, Aghasur, Baghasur, and then third sister was Putna. So, because she is Bakasur's brother, she is called Baki. Because whenever there is inimicality in the heart towards the Supreme Lord, you tend to be born in the next birth. And there are some mentions in some Puranas about how she was like about her previous birth also. I don't quite recollect what she was. Other than Ratnavali, there was another reason why she was born as Putna. I don't know. Maybe Prabhuji can say.
जिसमें ये जैसे प्रभु जी ने बताया था कि बलि महाराज की यज्ञ में जब वामन देव आए तो छोटे से बालक को देख करके बहुत प्यारा बालक है तो सोचते मैं स्तन पिलाऊं तो मुझे जो है सुख मिलेगा। तो अपने सुख की जो है वो जो है चाहना करने लगी, इच्छा करने लगी कि इस बालक को मैं अगर स्तन पिलाऊं अपना तो कितना मुझे सुख मिलेगा। लेकिन जब बलि महाराज का जब सब सर्वस्व छीन लिया तो फिर क्या सोचने लगी, इस बालक को मैं जहर पिला दूं तो जो है मतलब मुझे कुछ सांत्वना मिलेगी, कुछ चैन मिलेगा। तो दोनों इच्छाएं हैं, प्लस इच्छा माइनस इच्छा। तो भगवान जो है कृष्ण का जब अवतार होता है तो कई कार्य एक साथ हो जाते हैं। तो पूतना को जो है अवसर मिल गया, स्तन पिलाने का भी स्तन मिल गया और जहर खिलाने का भी। तो एक ही बार में जो है दोनों इच्छाएं पूरी की, है ना। और जो इच्छा थी कि जहर पिला के मार दो इसको, तो उसका जो है परिणाम उसको क्या हुआ कि भगवान ने उसको मृत्यु दे दी, उसका दंड मिल गया। उसने भगवान को मारना चाहा तो उसका दंड जो है भगवान ने दे दिया मृत्यु के रूप में, मृत्यु दंड उसको मिल गया और बहुत कष्ट से उसने शरीर छोड़ा। लेकिन जो स्तन पिलाने की जो इच्छा थी तो उसका जो है परिणाम क्या हुआ कि उसको जो है भगवान ने अपनी माता का स्थान दे दिया। तो वो जो है पुरस्कार तो इटर्नल और जो दंड है वो थोड़ी देर का था, मृत्यु दंड मिला। तो हमें जो है मतलब इससे शिक्षा मिलती है कि हम जो है अगर अनुकूल भाव में अगर कृष्ण का भजन करते हैं तो वो ज़्यादा अच्छा है, प्रतिकूल भाव में भजन करते हैं तो उसका भी आपको जो है दंड मिलेगा। हरे कृष्ण।
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद डिपार्चर फॉर USA महा महोत्सव की। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की। निताय निताय गौर सीतानाथ प्रेमानंदे।